first time Leo heard the bird, he thought it was his neighbor's phone alarm. A high, thin whistle floated through the thin walls of his studio in Columbus, Ohio. He muted the TV, held his breath, and realized the sound wasn't digital at all. It was outside. A sparrow sat on the power line, chest quivering, singing like the morning had been made just for it. Leo stared. He hadn't sung at anything in years. He lived like a caged bird who forgot he had a voice, not locked by bars but by habits so heavy they felt like iron. He didn't know it yet, but that tiny song would pry open a door he had stopped believing existed. Because sometimes you don't grow by getting wings. You grow by letting go of what keeps you grounded to the wrong things. Leo Garcia was 33. He worked the closing shift at a big box store, the kind of job that made your feet ache and your spirit go quiet. His apartment smelled like microwave dinners and last night's laundry. His routine was simple: sleep late, coffee strong, phone endless, work, home, TV until his eyes burned. Repeat. He wasn't failing. He wasn't flying. He lived in the middle, comfortable misery, where days don't hurt enough to change and don't shine enough to remember. The worst part wasn't the job. It was the story in his head. This is all I am. Stories can be cages. So can comfort. So can a couch. That sparrow returned at 6:18 a.m. the next day. And the day after that, Leo started opening the window to hear it better. The air smelled like rain and asphalt and distant coffee. He felt ridiculous, standing there like a man watching a 2-ounce bird teach a class. But the class had one lesson: show up and sing anyway. One morning he whispered, "What if I show up?" Not to a concert, a promotion, or a miracle. To himself. He took a sticky note and wrote 3 sentences. What cages me? What could loosen the lock? What's one song I can sing today? He answered honestly, cages, late nights, doom scroll, junk food, quitting before I start, loosening the lock, earlier bedtime, walks without phone, 1 homemade meal, 10 minutes of guitar. Today's song, step outside at sunrise and listen. He felt silly. He did it anyway. Flying without wings doesn't mean pretending gravity is fake. It means refusing to call fear your ground. Leo didn't grow feathers. He grew choices. He set his cheap alarm clock, not his phone, for 6:10 a.m. When it rang, he stood up, no bargaining. He put his phone in a drawer, no negotiation. He filled a glass with water and took it to the window like a quiet ceremony. The sparrow was there, a dot of determination on a wire of sky. Leo closed his eyes and breathed. For the first time in years, he felt here. Change didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived with fractions. 10 minutes of guitar after work. A 1 pan of scrambled eggs instead of drive-through. A 15-minute walk with no headphones. A sticky note each morning with 1 sentence. Today I sing by. Call mom. Wash dishes to a playlist. Read 3 pages. Text a real friend. He discovered something that felt both obvious and shocking. Small is not weak. Small is compounding. By week 2, he slept better. By week 3, his hands remembered chords from a decade ago. By week 4, his room looked less like a storage unit and more like a place a person lived. He wasn't a different man. He was a man doing different things. Of course, the old voice didn't retire. It got louder. Day 9, you'll quit like last time. Day 12, 10 minutes of guitar? That's nothing. Day 15, you deserve a treat. Go back to scrolling. Day 18, you're tired. Sleep till noon. One night, that voice won. Leo stayed up late, ate whatever blinked in the freezer, and fell asleep on the couch with the TV watching him back. The next morning, shame tried to chain him to yesterday. But Leo had learned a new sentence. Habits aren't about perfection. They're about direction. He stood up, drank his water, and went to the window. The bird was late. He waited anyway. It came. It sang. He smiled. Direction restored. For the first time in a long time, Leo didn't just feel, he thought. He could see his life like a map. Triggers, paths, destinations. Trigger, action, reward. A lonely scroll, numbness, short. A lonely walk, presence, long. A tired, TV, later sleep, worse. Tired, guitar, softer mind, better. He didn't need a degree to see the logic. If you change the middle, you change the ending. Habits weren't cages. They were chisels. Every repeated act carved a little more of who he could become. Water carves canyons. Notes carve songs. Choices carve selves. One afternoon, on his walk, Leo saw a flyer at the community center. Open mic night. Beginner's welcome. He laughed so loud a squirrel bolted. No way, he said to the flyer and the squirrel and the sky. But at home, his guitar leaned against the wall like a patient friend. He set a rule. No stage, just preparation. 10 minutes became 15. 15 became 20. He wrote a verse so simple it embarrassed him. He wrote another. The second verse embarrassed him less. The open mic was in 3 weeks. He put the date on the fridge, not as a sentence, but as a lighthouse. The week before the open mic, life tested the lock. Extra shifts at work. The cold gray rain that made the world feel heavy. The message from an old friend who said, "Bro, open mics are cringe. Don't do it." He wanted to quit, but he remembered the sparrow. Small chest, big sky, sings anyway. He wrote this on a card and taped it above the sink. Courage is 10 quiet choices in a row. Then he made them. Water, window, walk, guitar, bed on time, repeat. Open mic night smelled like coffee and dust and first chances. The room was small, the kind of small that makes applause feel like a hug. Leo's hands shook so hard he thought the guitar would fall. He sat on the stool, looked at the exit just in case, and began. The first chord buzzed. He kept going. His voice started thin, then found the note the way a bird finds a current, by trusting air. He sang a song about a cage you can't see, a window you forget to open, a bird that learns to fly by walking to the edge every morning and refusing to back away. When he finished, it wasn't thunder, but it was real warm claps, a yeah man, a table of high schoolers snapping because they were too shy to clap. Leo swallowed and laughed at the same time. His chest felt like the room had more oxygen than it used to. If this moment stirred something in you, comment one word below, fly, as your first tiny step. Then keep listening, because Leo's story is about you too. The next month, nothing glamorous happened, and everything important did. He cooked on Sundays, stacked containers in his fridge like little future kindnesses. He walked after dinner and learned the names of 3 dogs and 1 mail carrier. He called his sister every Tuesday and found out his niece loves dinosaurs and blueberries. He played at open mic again. He wasn't great. He was there. His manager at the store said, "You seem lighter?" Leo said, "I'm practicing." The manager blinked. Leo didn't explain further. Some truths don't like speeches. They like practice. One morning, the sparrow didn't come. The wire was empty. The sky plane. Leo felt the old panic. It's gone. It was all a phase. Then he realized something important. The bird wasn't the source. It was the signal. The source was the practice. He stood at the window anyway, breathing in the ordinary. He picked up the guitar anyway, letting his fingers make small circles on the fretboard. He walked anyway, a man learning to trust unseen currents. Sometimes the thing that awakens you doesn't stay. It just points. Then you walk. Here's the quiet truth Leo's story offers. You may not need wings. You may need a window. You may not need a miracle. You may need a morning. You may not need a stage. You may need 10 minutes of practice you refuse to negotiate. The cage isn't always out there. It's often a pattern in here. Patterns can be changed by small, stubborn kindness to yourself, repeated until your life believes you. If you want to fly without wings, to put one habit to bed earlier, to wake one intention up earlier, or replace one scroll with one stroll. Trade one maybe for one, I showed up. You don't become a new person in one day. You become a new person by giving this person new days. So maybe today, your life feels like a room with no doors. Maybe your story sounds like, "This is all I am." Maybe your mornings belong to a screen and your nights to a couch. You don't need to break the sky. You need to open the window. Stand up when your alarm says, "Now." Drink water like a promise. Go to the edge, your window, your street, your guitar, your quiet. Sing something small, then sing it again tomorrow. Because the caged bird didn't grow wings. He grew practice. He grew presence. He grew choices that carried him farther than feathers ever could. If this story spoke to you, comment fly below. Let's see how many of us are ready for 10 quiet choices in a row. Hit like, subscribe for a new motivational story every day, and share this with someone who needs a gentle start. Together, we're building more than stories. We're building lives.